Michael Jordan at the Wizards. For many, it was just a secondary phase in the career of a legend. But was that all? When we think of Michael Jordan, the first image that comes to mind is of the three-time champion for the Chicago Bulls, the unbeatable player who dominated on the court. However, Jordan's story didn't stop there. In 2001, he did something few expected. He returned to the NBA, now wearing the Washington Wizards jersey. At 38 and with 3 years off the court, did Jordan still have something to prove? In this video, we'll explore whether this return was really of decline, or whether it brought something unique and important to Jordan's legacy. I'll show you how he maintained his competitive essence, analyzing every play, statistic, and his impact on and off the court. Get ready for an in-depth analysis, with revelations that will make you rethink this phase of Jordan's career, and perhaps even revise your own definition of greatness. After winning his sixth title and announcing his second retirement in 1999, Jordan seemed determined to leave basketball forever. However, he couldn't stay away from the court for long. In 2000, he took on an administrative role with the Wizards, becoming a shareholder and the team's president of operations. The expectation was that he would help the franchise get back on its feet with his experience, bringing strategies and a different vision from someone who had once been the best player in the world. But behind this decision, there was still an uncontrollable desire to compete. However, the team's situation was complicated. The Wizards were far from a powerhouse, lacking big names and struggling to attract top talent. Even so, Jordan began to feel that he could do more than just watch from the sidelines. Then, in 2001, at the age of 38, he made the decision that would change his career forever: to play for the Wizards again. He was no longer the same player physically, but his competitive spirit remained intact, and the idea of proving that he still had something to offer the sport motivated him to take on this new challenge. With that, he did the unthinkable. After 3 years away from the court, Jordan put himself back in the spotlight, this time as a veteran in a rebuilding team. But he knew the comeback wouldn't be easy. Many doubted that he could maintain his level of performance, while others believed that this return risked tarnishing his legacy. The question was, how far could he go, carrying not only the weight of years, but also the hopes of an entire franchise? The anticipation surrounding Jordan's return was monumental. The media, fans, and even the players themselves were anxious to see how the legendary MJ would perform on the court after so long away. Many believed that he wouldn't be able to repeat the level of performance that made him famous with the Chicago Bulls, while others were confident that, even at 38, Jordan would still be able to dominate. The weight of his past achievements raised expectations to an almost unattainable level, and for some, his return seemed risky, perhaps even unnecessary. But for Jordan, it was a question of pride and passion for the game. As soon as the season started, the reality proved to be different from the most optimistic expectations. Jordan still displayed a deep knowledge of the game and maintained the intensity that characterized him, but age couldn't be ignored. His legs no longer had the same vigor, and the explosive speed that once put him ahead of his opponents was no longer the same. In addition, he felt the impact of returning to a league that was becoming increasingly competitive and physically demanding. Despite his physical limitations, Jordan was able to adapt his style of play. He was no longer the player who pulverized opponents with dunks and quick cuts, but he made up for it with intelligence and skill. He used mid-range shots much more and applied his experience to deceive defenders.
Great play. You protected him, which will allow Richard Jefferson to shoot and can play.
Jordan, yes, and it counts.
Positioning himself better on the court. This Jordan was different, less athletic, but still lethal in his choices. And although he couldn't reach the scoring averages he had in his prime, he still showed flashes of the player who reigned over the NBA. When you look at the numbers, Jordan in a Wizards jersey may seem a far cry from that dominant Bulls player, but his stats are still impressive considering his age and context. In his first season back, he averaged 22.9 points, 5.2 assists, and 5.7 rebounds per game, numbers higher than many younger players.
Jay Brown, Jordan for his first shot of the game. Baron Davis, Jordan for his second straight shot, and his second straight that hits nothing but the bottom of the net.
Bothering to say.
Just 2 of 11 yesterday. Beautiful move by Jordan.
We had against Michael Jordan. He's got to defend Michael.
4.
This scoring average was the highest ever recorded by an athlete over the age of 38, a milestone that reaffirms just how exceptional he was, even when he wasn't at his physical peak. But these figures only tell part of the story. Jordan adapted his game strategically. With less speed and explosion, he began to use his iconic mid-range shot more often, positioning himself in areas where he could take advantage of his experience and intelligence on the court. His ability to read the game allowed him to exploit his opponent's weaknesses, forcing plays where he knew he would be most effective. This style of play, more calculated and less physical, was one of the main adaptations that kept him competitive and able to score. As well as scoring, Jordan continued to make an impact in less visible areas. His basketball IQ allowed him to orchestrate plays, guiding his teammates in real time, and even anticipating his opponent's actions. He still defended well, averaging 1.4 steals per game, and on some nights even seemed to recall the defensive ferocity of the old days. In games where he was inspired, Jordan showed flashes of his old form, and this kept the public's interest and the opponent's respect alive.
Jordan to lift up and lace it. career double-doubles for Andre Miller in 207 games played. Michael Jordan stroking the deep jumper. Might look like a million Michael Jordan off the screen and elevating. Been part of 6 weeks. Jordan to fade. A couple years with the LA Lakers. Jordan will step through. A great look to Jahidi White.
40 for the Cavaliers. Yes, just a 9-point lead, make it 11.
Michael Jordan shed Jermaine Jones. Difficult shot. Jordan on a step through. Michael Jordan to deliver. Indeed. Jordan for the Wizards lead. Got it. Jones the trigger. Jordan for the win. Got it! At the buzzer. He's done it again in the city of Cleveland.
In addition to his statistics, one of Jordan's greatest legacies on the Wizards was the impact he had on the team, especially in the development of the younger players. At the time, the Wizards had promising but inexperienced talents such as Kwame Brown and Richard Hamilton. Jordan's arrival brought a unique dynamic to the team, offering the youngsters the chance to learn directly from one of the greatest players in history. He was demanding and often strict, but his goal was to mold them to become better and more resilient, especially in a competitive environment like the NBA. Kwame Brown, in particular, had a complex relationship with Jordan. Drafted first overall in 2001, Brown was under a lot of pressure and expectation. Jordan, on the one hand, tried to get the best out of the youngster, challenging him to overcome his limitations. However, Jordan's relentless style has also been criticized, as some believe he may have been excessive with Brown, hindering the player's development. This demanding and even merciless side of Jordan reinforces how much he saw basketball as a high-performance arena, where only the strongest survive. Richard Hamilton, on the other hand, was able to take advantage of Jordan's presence in a different way. Although his career took off after his departure from the Wizards, Hamilton pointed out that his time with Jordan taught him a lot about dedication and what it takes to excel in the league. That influence, albeit with challenges and conflicts, helped define the team's culture and focus on development. On a team with no winning tradition, Jordan brought a winning spirit and the mentality of always competing at the highest level, leaving a mark that would last even after his departure. Jordan's return to the Wizards also brought a new level of attention and expectation, not only on the court, but also off it. His presence was a phenomenon in terms of media and fandom. Wizards games became events, with a huge number of fans and journalists following their performances, not just because of their history, but because of the nostalgia their return generated. The city of Washington, D.C. saw a resurgence of enthusiasm for basketball, with fans flocking to see the icon who had once enchanted the world. Ticket sales soared, and what was once a team struggling for recognition was now the center of attention. The team had a fan base that was ready to support Jordan, and he reciprocated with performances that often lived up to his legendary status.
We'll try to deny Stackhouse looks as Mike.
Nice pass by Paul Pierce, the way he penetrates and sets up his teammates.
Oh, Mike. Kentucky's home. Jordan outside, up over McCarty, and Michael kicks it in.
Yeah, Michael shooting the
top side, Jordan.
Pierce, where he's going to go through 2 or 3 people to score.
Jordan on a big moment, keeps him within 2. Against All-Star, here we go. Pump fake in the air, Michael, tied!
The connection with the fans was palpable, and with every successful dribble or shot, he reminded everyone why he was adored. In his second game as a starter, for example, he had already accumulated 30 points, and the crowd's reaction made it clear that the thrill of seeing him on the court was still alive. However, the relationship with the media was not always harmonious. The pressure to maintain the same level of excellence he had established in the past was intense, and this often resulted in harsh criticism when performances didn't live up to expectations. Every mistake or poor game was widely discussed and analyzed, often with a negative bias. Despite this, Jordan maintained his competitive and charismatic attitude, knowing that the attention he received was part of his comeback package. He used this pressure as fuel, challenging himself to prove that he was still relevant and capable of contributing at a high level, even in the midst of criticism. When reflecting on Michael Jordan's time with the Washington Wizards, it's essential to realize that this phase, although considered by many to be a detour in his career, brought a new perspective on his legacy. Not only did he continue to play, but he redefined what it meant to be a veteran in an evolving league. Jordan was no longer just the athlete who had retired in his glory years. He was a mentor, an example of resilience, and an icon who inspired young players and fans. The impact of his presence extended beyond the court. He began to shape the culture of a team that was struggling to find its place in the league, bringing a competitive spirit that resonated with both his teammates and the fan base. This new approach had a lasting effect on the Wizards franchise. Jordan's approach to hard work and discipline influenced future generations of players, many of whom would cite their time with him as a turning point in their careers. Although he didn't lead the Wizards to titles, his impact as a mentor and leader was undeniable. In addition, Jordan's Jordan's return helped to further popularize the NBA, attracting new fans to the sport. His ability to continue attracting attention, even at a later stage in his career, solidified his position not only as a player, but as a cultural icon. He showed that, regardless of age or circumstances, passion for the game and the will to compete can transcend time and space. This lesson is particularly valuable in a world that often places limits on what people can achieve at different stages of their lives. Michael Jordan's time with the Washington Wizards, although marked by challenges and expectations, proved to be a crucial phase in his career, both on and off the court. He demonstrated that greatness goes beyond statistics, proving to be a mentor for young players and a source of inspiration for fans of all ages. His ability to adapt to the new NBA landscape and the way he continued to impact basketball culture reaffirmed his status as an icon, showing that even in a new phase, his passion and determination were never erased. Jordan not only left a legacy in terms of performance, but also as a symbol of perseverance and excellence, ending his journey in the league with the same intensity as he began it, and reminding everyone that greatness can manifest itself in many ways.